Yinka, meaning land in Wet'suwet'en language, is an expository and persuasive non-fiction documentary about the desperate fight of Wet'suwet'en people over their unclaimed, unceded land of roughly 22,000 kilometers square. There is no treaty, no bill or sale, or no surrender placing the land under Canadian authority. As the directors of the film, Jennifer Wickham, Brenda Mitchell, and Michael Toledano state, despite the deeply rooted history of Indigenous people with their land and Canada's top court decision to continue preserving the untouchable land, government officials let the corporation giants use the territory for one of the largest coastal fuel projects in the world. The result of this decision was almost a decade of confrontation, fight, and resistance for the land Indigenous people had for thousands of years. One of the major emphases of the film was the image. The quality of several shots is unbearably stunning, meant to show what land people are protecting, what beauty they guard. Chosen to be objects of this essay, study and analysis, the forest and the river translates the time passage and the progress of the conflict. The colors change from green to white and then gray-brown. Unfortunately, the same goes with the resistance. It holds strong at the beginning, then the government takes serious actions, and, at the end, the land was stolen. Yet, the sound translates the voice of Wet'suwet'en people and their land, one tone for their real diegetic speech, and another one for modern people to better understand, the action cinema lexica. In terms of documentary as a message, directors used nature sounds and music to differentiate between two languages used in the film: indigenous voice and the voice of modernity and Hollywood lexicon. Besides that, there are two points of view: from Freda Husson, the wing chief of Unistoten clan, and Molly Wickham, the wing chief of Cacique clan. The question is, how did the cinematography reflected and differentiated between the languages used to communicate the action taking place on the indigenous territory, and how it illustrated the progress of the conflict through colors and overall state of nature? One of the key answers to this question is the use of specific color palettes in the documentary: green for the quietness and strong indigenous position, red for the cost and victims of the fight, white for active rebellion and unity among clans, and muddy gray to showcase the consequences of pipeline work and of abandoning the land. And two almost opposite camera angles: overhead camera shots for indigenous world and close-up shots for the result of interfering that world. The overhead shots globalize the problem, as the fight isn't only for this land, but for the indigenous people's right to secure their territory in general, not to be interfered by the outside world. The close-up shots of red dresses in the white winter arc confronts the pipeline works with the people who gave up their lives for the land. The highlight of the clown's speech, how they want to teach the world about the brutality and terrors people face. But Subitan clan is bounded by blood to this place, as their great ancestor hunted, slept, protected, and, at the end, have been buried into the lands for centuries. All in all, the color palettes, overhead shots and close-ups, lightweight cameras, and dynamic movement communicated the indigenous POV to the world. Through cinematography, directors immersified the story, for the audience to live through the clan's experience, embodying us into the documentary. By that, we become part of indigenous history, and they become part of our history. There were two narrative voices within the documentary: a distinctive, immersive sound of nature, sound of indigenous people. It has a major part in the timeline, recurring to that the nature is far above human power. Vivid, loud, and uncommon soundtrack almost feels like a background music for a commercial or a battle scene in Hollywood movie. Camera dynamics follows the voice of Wet'suwet'en clan with slow, prolonged unpolished picture, phone-like cinematics. Yinta, being cinema verite, utilizes dynamic camera movements and non-professional shots to make an impression of non-advertised, not planned, acted, or somehow edited or changed action, just a raw image of what's going on, a trustful message. As for the Hollywood modern language, rapid change in action, quick and short cuts, the sequence is focused on the battle, not on the subject of the battle. Follow-through, double camera movements, and mostly middle-range shots differentiate the audience from the action, almost like telling "you're not with us, you do not fight with us, you do not fight for us." With Hollywood lexicon, a familiar image feels more distant compared with a seemingly unreachable culture suddenly becoming a part of us. Using two different languages, the voice of nature and the voice of Hollywood, Yinta communicated the action happened on the wet Tibetan land through sound, diegetic sounds of water, people talking, animals, folk songs, and non-diegetic sound for background song accelerating the tension of the battle, and cinematography, cameras overhead and middle shots for land depiction, dynamic and follow-through movements to immersive the experience, colors for conflict progress and consequences, and, at last, close-up shots, pole, zoom in, zoom out, and more static movements for outside world language. By these examples, we could divide the film into two unequal parts. First half and the end of the movie as a cinema verite documentary, and a short depiction of the battle between police and indigenous people as a fiction recreation film. This unbalanced timing for the voices could be part of the documentary message. People should pay and value indigenous land more, respect the deep history between the place and people. The government in this story is not asking for indigenous values and why their values matter to the majority's history. They don't think of the indigenous people as a part of present society, as people. For everybody else in the world there's still past, beyond technological evolution people, the society that still keeps the things that prevent them from being a part of the modern society. But certain people stick to their land, they're still fighting for it. At the end, the purpose of this documentary is to teach and acknowledge people about the world they never wanted to know.
We're still here. We're still fighting, but we're still here.